Welcome students, this is your Quadratics 2 video, and this is our video 2 in our countdown to star. We just have one more video left, and that'll come out tomorrow night. I left you on the last video with starting to talk about roots and zeros and x-intercepts, and that's where we're going to pick up. So roots, zeros, x-intercepts, and solutions all mean the same thing. Okay? They're the x's that you could plug into a quadratic that make it equal to 0. So when we're looking at something like x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0, it's what could we put in here and here so that we get 0 on the m. In the end of the last video, we learned that you could have 0 solutions, 1 solution, or 2 solutions. So I'll show you the difference in those pictures again. 0 solutions because it never hits the x line. Comes down. 1 solution because it hits 1 time on the x line. 2 solutions because it goes all the way through. Okay? And this works the same way if they're upside down. Okay. So now we're talking about how you find those. And we're going to use this same problem, x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0 for the whole time. So one way is by factoring, and we would take x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0, and we multiply a times c, and we create our x. That's 8. Put our 6 on the bottom. What multiplies to be 8, but adds to be 6, and that answer is 2 and 4. I like to put x's beside them, and then we write it out. X squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. So the front and the back stay the same. The middle gets split up to be 2x plus 8x. Then we group. X squared and 2x have an x in common, and so we're left with an x plus 2. We know that in the second set of parentheses we're going to end up with an x plus 2 also. We look at those and they have a 4 in common, and so now we're ready to write our answer. So it's x plus 2, and then the outside step is x plus 4. This answer becomes x equals negative 2, and this answer becomes x equals negative 4. So this graph is going to hit at 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay? Because x squared is positive, that means it's going to be facing up like this. It's going to look something like that. Okay? The next way that we learned how to do it was the quadratic formula. And this formula is going to be on your formula chart. It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We broke it down into a template, the opposite of b, plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So if you take the one we've been working with, x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0, this is a, b, c. So a is 1, b is 6, c is 8. So b is 6, so I put a 6 here and a 6 here. A is 1, so I put a 1 there. C is 8, so I put an 8 there. And a is 1, so I put this here. Okay. In my class, we told you to do this. The opposite of 6 is negative 6, plus or minus. We told you to do all this underneath stuff. And so when I take my calculator and I type in parentheses 6 squared minus 4 times parentheses 1 times parentheses 8, I get 4. 2 times 1 on the bottom is 2. Then we split this up and we did an add version and a subtract version. Negative 6 plus the square root of 4 divided by 2. Negative 6 minus the square root of 4 divided by 2. Then we plug this into our calculator and this into our calculator, and we did it in 2 separate steps. We did the top part, enter, then divided by the bottom. So negative 6 plus the square root of 4, enter, divided by 2. So one of our answers is negative 2. Negative 6 minus the square root of 4, enter, divided by 2. And the other answer is x equals negative 4. Okay? Alright, so the final way of doing this is in your graphing calculator. Our problem was x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. So I always put 0 in y1 right there, and I put the quadratic in y2 just like that, and then I hit graph. This lets me know that I have two answers, one on each side, and so I go ahead and write down x equals, x equals. And once I see those, I go ahead and hit second trace, and that's what gets this menu to come up. Second trace is a calculate menu, and I go down here to number 5. I'm looking for an intersection between the flat line and the U. I hit enter 3 times, and it gives me this first answer choice right here, because that one's closest to the origin. Then I do it again, second trace, and I move my cursor over, and it gives me that one. And you can see that there's your two answers, x equals -2 and x equals -4. Okay. These all have to be solved for 0. If they're not solved for 0, this is what you'd have to do, x squared plus 6x equals -8. This guy can't stay over there, you'd have to move him over, x squared plus 6x. When you move him over, he becomes a positive 8 because he doesn't like being on this side, he's negative, so when we move him over, he's going to become positive. Then when it's in this position, you can do any of those methods that I just showed you.